Om Jai Swaha Mata.
So we are looking at a little katha that is based upon this Sakhya Bhav, and there are many lessons otherwise. So devotees, let me get into the katha. See, Sukdev ji reading katha to Raja Parikshit. So I'll put it in simple way. See, Sukdev ji बोले कि हे परम भागवत राजा परीक्षित, कोई एक ब्राह्मण ब्रह्म के जानने वालों में उत्तम, विषयों में वैराग्यवान, शांत मन, जितेंद्रिय श्री कृष्ण चंद्र का मित्र था। वह गृहस्थ आश्रम में रहता था और जो कुछ अनायास प्राप्त हो उसी से अपना निर्वाह करता था। जीर्ण वस्त्र को धारण किए उसी प्रकार उसकी स्त्री भी थी। क्षुधा के मारे पीड़ित होने से समस्त अंगों से कृशित, और जो अन्न प्राप्त हो उसे पति को परोस दे, आप भूखी रह जाए। बहुत दुखित और भय के मारे थर थर कांपती वह पतिव्रता श्री दरिद्री पति के समीप बोली। श्री सुखदेव जी saying, O sages, once in a certain village there was a Brahman, ब्रह्म के जानने वाला, who knew Brahma, who identified with Brahma. Now devotees, again I go back to a philosophy I practice. You hear a statement, you get a general idea. When you break down the statement into words, you can get deeper ideas. And according to Shaivism, each word has Shakti, Matrika Chakra. When you break the words down into letters, you can get even deeper meaning. Tonight, I wouldn't break the words down into letters, but I'm breaking the sentences down into words. Now here, there's a Brahman, एक ब्राह्मण, ब्रह्म के जानने वालों. He knew Brahm, absorbed in Brahm consciousness. Why am I emphasizing this statement, devotees? Because there are those in society who want to tell us that once a person realizes Brahm, he is a Brahman. Now I don't know how they know Brahm. Now I am looking at this statement here. See, Sukdev ji, he is saying there was a Brahman who recognized Brahm. And if you read into that statement, it means that you can have Brahmins who did not recognize Brahm. So that statement that people make, once you recognize Brahm, you are Brahman, is not so. This is logic. But logic, not so easy either. Not so easy. So follow what I am saying. If anybody who recognized Brahm is a Brahman, there was no need for Sukdev ji to say, there was this Brahman who recognized Brahm. He made that statement because he was a Brahman amongst many Brahmins who didn't recognize Brahm. He recognized Brahm. He lived in that consciousness. Bear that in mind. Some people say you could make yourself into a Brahman. Gita says, Janman karma. You have to be born into it and maintain the karma. Otherwise you could become a Brahm Rakshas. But if you want to perform the karmas to make yourself into that, I've always asked the question, who determines when you qualify? Who determines that? Is there a board of scholars will say, okay, Haridev, you live like a Brahman, so now you are Brahman? Who decides that? A fellow told me, the Guru decides. If you have a Guru who's not a Brahman, but he wants to make everybody Brahman, so he will say, yes, you live in the karma, you are Brahman. Confusion, chaos. Now I don't want to emphasize too much upon this, because this doesn't really lead us in any particular direction. But sometimes I like to challenge the pseudo-intellectuals who don't understand our scriptures, and they say what they would like to see happen, what they believe should happen, not what is really practiced and what has been from here since time immemorial. I will leave it at that. Devotees, what was so great about this Brahman in that he was absorbed in Brahm? Vishayo mein vairagyavan. He lived in the material world, the pitch of poisons, the poisons of materialism all around, but he lived vairagyavan in a dispassionate state. He was not affected by any of material things around us. And we have been saying in the Yagya, Trishna, cravings. We all have cravings. Material cravings. Very few have spiritual cravings. the Trishna. So you're caught up in the world of materialism, the poisons of materialism. So we are not dispassionate. We are attracted to these things. This Brahman devotees didn't want anything. He had no desires for any of these material things. He lived a life of dispassion. And the next word is important. Shantaman. He had a peaceful mind. Desires unfulfilled lead to anger. From anger, loss of reason. Loss of reason, self-destruction. Once you have cravings, there is no Shantaman. You have Chanchalman. Unstable mind, fickle mind, jumping all over. You can sit to pray to God and still not constant. You want to pray to God, oh Lord, Saturday, give me these 6 numbers. You want to become a millionaire overnight. So you think you're praying to God, but your mind, I wonder what the 6 numbers are. Are you really praying? No Shantaman, Chanchalman, fickle, like a frog, or like a kite, ducking also, like a monkey, jumping from branch to branch. But what causes Shantaman? Vairagya, dispassion. Withdrawal of the senses from material things all around. And devotees, I have mentioned that Shivaji symbolizes the state of dispassion. He is in the world but not of the world. He is Shantras, as Ramayana says. He is the essence of peace personified. So if I were to take it from that perspective, Sudama Brahman, he had Shivaji strong inside his heart, in the form of Vairagya, dispassion, in the form of peace. And that eludes us devotees, peace. Shantaman. When there is Shantaman, what follows? Jitendriya. You control all these senses. We perceive this physical world through the senses. Gyan Indriyas, and we perform actions through the Karam Indriyas. What controls the senses? The mind. What controls the mind? The intellect. If this Brahman is absorbed in Brahm, purified intellect, Shantaman, therefore the senses have to be brought under control. It's a journey. It's what we have to achieve. So devotees, these are just words, but analyze what I'm trying to put to you. Most of us, ears go one direction, eyes go one direction, tactile sense different, the olfactory sense different. Like horses pulling a chariot different directions. Before very long, chariot mash up. And this is what happens to us. Devotees, and now the final qualification. Well, not qualification, not the final one, but next statement. Important, perhaps. His previous qualities will lead up to this. Sri Krishna Chandra ka mitra tha. He was the friend of Bhagavan Sri Krishna. If Bhagavan is your friend, do you need anything? Do you lack anything? So I want you to pay attention, devotees, to some of these things I mentioned to you. Like, the Vairagya, the Shantaman, control of the senses. That attachment, relationship with the Lord. How could you go wrong when you have these conditions existing in your life? He wasn't living in a cave. Vaha grihas ashram mein rahata tha. He lived in the householder stage. There are 4 stages in human development. Brahmacharya, which we are told is up to 25 years of age. The student stage. It is said the brain functions with maximum efficiency up to the age of 25. So we are told, up to 25 years, study, acquire all your qualifications, prepare yourself to fit into Grihastha ashram so you can repay your debt of gratitude to society. But of course, if you follow what scriptures say here, all this child marriage thing, and I don't want to digress, all this child marriage thing should not be. Those things have been done for maybe political reasons, more social reasons, not for spiritual reasons. And then when they talk about that, when children having children, they're immature, irresponsible, the family structure is different. No wonder society is in the condition we have it in today. Because we're not following the systems. We are not. And this is why, devotees, I am one who strongly recommend that we should lift the marriage age. Make it 18. You could vote at 18. You get your marriage, your driver's license 17. I give you 1 year extra. At least get some basic qualifications. The girls, that is. Basic qualification. There's a certain level of maturity so you can shoulder your responsibilities. Not before that. And if I may just add, you see that early marriage? Long ago the family structure was different. Everybody lived in the same house, like barracks, you know. You have the children, you have grandchildren, you have Aji, Aja, you have Mamu or Kaka, Dada. Everybody live in the same house. Long ago. Extended family. A young child gets married and come into that home, you have many experienced people to guide them. So the structure allowed for that. Today, from the time you get married, whether 16, 17, 18, you're gone in your own apartment. Nobody there to support you, or they're far away. So all you fight for yourself. You struggle along, immaturity, irresponsibility. The structure is different. The conditions are different. You're going to have problems. This is common sense. The common sense not so common. Some people say, Hindu must get married 14 years. As if to be a Hindu, you must get married 14 years. Some people can't let go of this dinosaurian kind of attitude and belief that they have. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate. They don't see the changing times, changing attitudes, changing challenges, which we need to readjust and adapt to. So we talk about it and hope that at some point in time, good sense will prevail. So devotees, 25 years. Give yourself a chance. Normally I tell these young fellas, 21, 22, Baba, I like a girl. I say, hold on. Give yourself a few years again. Next year you like a next girl. So you're good. You can't make up your mind. You see, immaturity. Get married quick, break up quick, life become a mess. Take your time, devotees. Second stage, Grihas Ashram, householder stage. They say this from 25 years to over 55 years of age. Where, you have your family, we pay a debt of gratitude to society, etc. If you live to be 55, and that's a big if in today's world, from 55 to 75, Vanprast, you begin to let go. Tyag. You don't cling on till you drop dead, and then leave a vacuum. You start to let go. My father always said, if you have to die, when you have to die, die a pauper. Don't die clinging on to everything, no? Because the man you might die after that fighting for what you cling on to. Put everything in place. 55 to 75. Let go, let go. Let everybody go and shoulder their responsibilities. You are there as a protector if anything goes wrong. And if you live to 75, you should let go everything. Become a sannyasi, so to speak. You have to go to the forest. But home, a frugal life. As my father said to us, die a pauper. In the sense that no cravings, be simple, and you never have problems. Devotees, if a person could follow these steps in development, life will be a divine song. And not only that, these stages have been created based upon the changes in man. What you could do when you're 15, 20 years old, you can't do when you're 80, 85 years old. But sometimes man reaches 80 years and he plays young man 20 years. You kill yourself. So you have to adjust to the ravages of time. Common sense tells us that. Grow old gracefully. And the older you grow, more spiritual you become. The journey is more spiritual than material. Okay? Common sense lessons, devotees. Again that I say, not so common sense. Cravings, cravings, cravings. Trishna, killing man. This Brahman lived in Grihas Ashram. No big house and thing, no? Little hut. And devotees, when the priests would go out, they get little seed handing, little dakshina they get. Whatever he would get unsolicited, he will take home and give it to his wife. And I like to emphasize on the word unsolicited. You know what I mean? I mean, he never demand anything from anybody. In today's world, we have plenty Baba. They have the card and they have the price tag. Hanuman Puja, $300. If it's so cheap, I don't know. This, so much money. A year, 10,000. But you working. You're not serving God. You are a businessman. Our scriptures tell us, our lineage tells us, coming from this Brahman lineage, do what you have to do. Dakshina is what you want to offer. I can't demand from you. And I will never do it. I have never done it. Venush, and neither will ever do it. People ask me many times, Baba, I feel bad to ask, but tell me now, how much for the year? I say, what do you mean, how much for the year? Don't embarrass me. I am doing what I have to do. You offer your dakshina as you see fit. And devotees, my dakshina have started from 5 or 6 grains of dashan bush bhaji to dakshina, good dakshina, the spectrum. You take everything quiet and you go home with it. The only thing is when you go to gas station and tell them, I want 5 dashan bush stem of gas. They say, they don't take dashan bush. You know. But anyway, you still don't make demands. You should not. Devotees, I find that it is against conscience to do such a thing. And many people have complained. They carry the Sridhar for the Baba, Dakshina Baba say, double up, double up, double up. You know the people's means? But let's not go into all that. Devotees, whoever does these things, they are doing a disservice to themselves. It's greed is causing that. This is service. This is seva. Serve the master. This Brahman devotees, whatever he got, never questioned. You know why? He didn't have a craving mind. Shantaman, a peaceful mind, vairagya. What he will do with all this? Whatever you give, Ketan give it to his wife. Patni, you do whatever it is. But I can guarantee you, it wasn't very much in those days. His clothing, old and worn out. His wife, he was married. Grihastha ashram, mean he had a wife. And devotees, behind every great man there is a greater woman. Whether the man is a success or a failure. And the woman had to be a wife, you know. It could be a wife, it could be a mother, it could be a sister, it could be a daughter. This is the Shakti. And most times when you say a man falls short, it's a woman also, but not his wife, it could be somebody else's wife. You understand what I mean? Loose living. But wherever it is, the mothers, sisters and daughters, you have that power. If you can give that right support, men could achieve anything together with you. And if you don't do the right things also, you can destroy anybody. This Brahmani was a pativrata. In mind, word and deed, she was devoted to the husband. Any Baba could go home today and tell the wife, I get a handful of rice, and the wife could have one sari only. She leave he long time and go and get somebody else who could buy more sari for she. Very few will be able to put up with this. But this woman stood there. When they got anything, she would cook it and give it to the Brahman, and she would go hungry. Pativrata dharma, pativrata shakti, devotees, duty of a married wife. I don't know how the word married wife come out my mouth, but you know, you could have wife who not married too. So I am talking about those wives who have taken their vows and so on. Better say, you have to maintain your duty. And you know, the Western world will want to make you feel that the Hindus make you subservient. That I told you it's in your mind. The Western will want to liberate you, the body. Feel free. Loaf, do anything you want, but entrap your soul. The Eastern mind says, put the body under bondage, no problem, but free your mind, free your soul. You decide which way you want to go. Work is worship, duty is God. Maintain your duty. I won't elaborate on Pativrata Dharma tonight, devotees. And it's the last night, so I won't have time to elaborate ever again. So we go on. This woman was very, very, what can we say? Outstanding. Outstanding, really Shakti. So, time passed. But devotees, how long could people bear this type of suffering that they underwent? These two underwent. Brahman, his mind occupied in higher things, but the wife was at home. And devotees, I am the first to admit, I am outside, going all about, praying, singing, whatever, whatever. Wife is at home taking care of the children. That happened for me back in the past. Sometimes groceries in the house and I don't know. She had to make do. The wife, she has to undergo these sacrifices. This is why I always say God bless them. They are the Lakshmis in the home. Without them, we can't survive, devotees. We can't survive. I look at my example with my father and my mother. My father, big Pandit, never knew I could even read Hindi. He never knew. My mother taught me. And I always remember one Diwali night, I was about 4 years at that time. Papa go Hole Puja, come back home in the night with the Siddha bag in his hand. While coming up into the house, you hear a little girl singing in my mind. A little girl. When he wished who the little girl was, how they yourself. When you're small, your voice like a little girl one. No? Book wish me quite here. But singing, I could read anything. Chaupai. Papa remains with the mouth open. He never knew his son could read our mind. Who helped? Who did it? Ma. Ma. See? So the kind of sacrifices mothers make. And this is why sometimes I tell husbands, and I tell myself too, we become very arrogant and angry and so on, and want to get vexed with them. But try to, if you put yourself in their position for one day, you run. You can't make it. You can't make it. So devotees, this wife tolerated all that. But a point in time came when it became so unbearable that she decided to speak to the Brahman. And in a very submissive manner, no arrogance, very, very peacefully, she said, "Hey Brahman, मैंने सुना है कि साक्षात लक्ष्मी के पति ब्रह्म भक्त शरणागत के पालक यादवों में श्रेष्ठ भगवान श्री कृष्ण चंद्र तुम्हारी सखा है। अहो बरभागी साधुओं में परम आश्रय भगवान श्री कृष्ण चंद्र के पास तुम जाओ न। दुखित कुटुंबी तुमको वे बहुत सा धन देंगे। भोज वृष्णि अंधक यह यादवों के गोत्र है। उनके ईश्वर भगवान श्री कृष्ण चंद्र का द्वारकापुरी में विराजते हैं। वे अपने चरण कमलों के स्पर्श करने वालों को आत्मा तक दे देते हैं। जगत के गुरु भगवान श्री कृष्ण चंद्र को भजन करने वाले अपने भक्तों को परिणाम में दुख रूप धन और विषय का देना कुछ बहुत नहीं है। इस प्रकार कोमल वचनों से स्त्री ने बहुत प्रार्थना की। तब तो सुदामा ब्राह्मण उत्तम यश वाले श्री कृष्ण चंद्र का दर्शन होगा, यह बड़ा लाभ है। इस प्रकार मन में विचार कर जाने की इच्छा करने लगी और श्री से बोली कि हे मंगल रूपिणी, तेरे घर में कुछ भेद होने के तो लाना। यह सुन सुदामा की स्त्री किसी पड़ोसी ब्राह्मण के घर से 4 मुट्ठी चावल मांग लाई और सुदामा के कपड़े में बांधने लगी। श्री सुखदेव जी बोले कि हे राजन, इस प्रकार से कृष्ण चंद्र को भेंट देकर सुदामा को विदा किया। Devotees, so again simply, the Brahmini in very, very submissive tone, she said, "O Swami, O Master, husband, I happen to hear that Bhagwan Sri Krishna is your friend. Bhagwan Sri Krishna lives in Dwarikapuri. He is so kind, he is so merciful. He has helped so many. And we are roughing it all these years, living in abject poverty. Why don't you go to that Supreme, that wonderful friend of yours? Maybe through his kindness, his grace, he can alleviate our circumstances." In other words, she reminded him of her friend Krishna. But for what purpose? To go to him so that he can show his blessings, his favor, grace upon them, that the poverty could be removed. Devotees, there are 4 kinds of devotees: Arth, Artharthi, Jigjasu and Jnani. So here the Brahmani, Artharthi, she really wanted material things, to have a peaceful, comfortable life. Who wouldn't? Which wife doesn't? Yeah? So look at the type of devotee in this house. But she was a devotee. She believed in Krishna. When she spoke these words to Sudama, Sudama was very happy about it. Not about going to ask for anything. A long time I did not see my long-time friend Krishna. Oh, how wonderful to be to go to see him. Nothing in his mind. No desires. Because he had peace of mind, self-fulfillment. So here he was a different type of bhakt. Jnani, Jigjasu, which one? Could be Jnani bhakt. Even though it's Sakhya Bhav, but Jnani. No thought of asking for anything. No complaint, nothing at all. He accepted that Supreme Purush as his friend, and that is what it is. Not to ask for anything at all. But the thing is that this was a higher level of bhakti. Bhakti at a higher level. Jnana bhakti is the best. So devotees, you see all these small points we can derive out of the katha. Yeah? Each time you listen to this, you can get something different, something more. So devotees, desire but here no desirelessness. This duality within the same house. But Sudama had a duty towards his wife. He chose to go, but what really motivated him was this urge to see his friend Krishna, nothing otherwise. And this is important intent, very important. Now, it was a custom, it should be a custom still. When you go to meet friend, family, you carry something as a gift. This used to happen a long time. You know, devotees, long time when Nani come in, Nani must bring sweetie. Nani bring lion bheli. Nani bring something, be glad for Nani to come. In today's world, where Nani are here again, but many people when they see Nani coming, so God, she coming again. Because Nani come with empty hand and go back with basket full two side. Different kind of practice now. The custom of taking without giving is something our scriptures frown upon. Now, if I come to your home, you will extend hospitality to me. So you give me food, you give me whatever. When I bring this bait, as you call it, it's a way of compensating. Not that I'm paying you for it, you know, but I don't want to take anything without giving. This is the kind of custom, the value system we have as a people. This is why when we have yagyas and so on, many people still up to today, they give the yag karta, you know, maybe aloo, maybe something. They want to become part of the yag. Many people bring flowers to the yagya. They want to become part. They bring something. That practice is still maintained. And if not, we should reinstate it. Reinstate it is a good practice. Because, as we say, he who takes without giving is a thief. If you take so much and don't give back, you're going to lose out more than what you have taken. So devotees, Sudama Brahman asked. The wife had nothing home to give. And this again where you see the wives, the kind of sacrifices they make. She went to a neighbor's home, a Brahmin's home nearby, and she borrowed 4 handfuls of parched rice. You can imagine poverty. They had to borrow rice. She brought it and she tied it. Sudama Brahman had his angocha, as we call it. She tied it in a corner, very gently. Because you pull it too hard, it goes burst. So old it was. And she told the Brahman, "Cha, go ahead." And Sudama Brahman devotees decided to go to Dwarika Puri. Devotees, we just came back from India about 2 weeks now. And we went to Dwarika Puri. I mentioned that to you. We also went to where Sudama Mandir is, where the Sudama lived. And you believe me, it's a very long distance to walk. Very, very long distance to walk. You have to understand the determination of this Brahmin to walk that distance to go to meet Bhagwan Sri Krishna Chandra Ji, his long-time friend. And if that is not true feelings, true love, self-sacrifice, then what is? And devotees, where God is concerned, self-sacrifice is the key. Self-sacrifice. This is why when we have our yagyas and so on, I've been telling devotees, I'm seeing a degeneration in yagyas. Sometimes yagya is in progress, people walk with a water bottle while katha going on, they're drinking going. Somebody Baba drink inside herself, as if they come for entertainment and refreshment. You're talking, your voice getting wet and dry, so drinking going. Devotees, what is self-sacrifice? You have jutha all around, as we say. You know, long ago could this happen? In yagyas long ago would that happen? Now people are very hospitable. While katha is going on, they distribute water and so on. They want people to feel so comfortable. What, you come for your belly? As I have mentioned time and again, there is a protocol. You follow a protocol. There we yagya first, you worship divine. You make a sacrifice, self-sacrifice. And if you can't give up food and water for a period of time, what sacrifice you making?
Om Jai Swaha Mata, Maya Jai Swaha Mata, Tum Agni ki Shakti, Tum Agni ki Shakti.